Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to another episode of the Decentering Men series. So, in this episode, I want to address the lie that 90% of women are chasing the top 10% of men. Here's how I know this is a lie. Number one, what is the top 10% of men? Have you ever noticed how on these red pill channels they'll say, oh, well, 80% of women are chasing 20% of men, 90% of women are chasing 10% of men. But then those guys never go on to actually describe what puts you in that top 20% and what puts you in that top 10%. So, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to pretend like they're talking about the top 10% of income. So I looked online and it says that if you were in the top 10% of income earners in the US, you would be making an average of about $167,000 per year. So the reason that I know that most women are not chasing after men who make 167K per year is because I don't see women saying, oh, okay, as long as he's a doctor, then I'll be with him no matter what. As long as he's a lawyer, I'll be with him no matter what. No, usually women who are seeking after these relationships with men, whether it's long-term, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, usually women tend to date men based off of their character, not only based off of income. So I think that these red pill channels that say 90% of women are chasing 10% of men, I believe that those channels are actually talking about sex workers, because maybe they're chasing the top 10% of earners because those guys make a lot of money or something and those women just want to get paid. But this false concept that if you just make XYZ amount of money, or if you're just above 6 feet tall, then suddenly you're just going to have 90% of women who exist in this world throwing themselves at you. Let's take a look at how many women exist in this world. So, according to a quick search on Google, it says that there are about 3.8 billion women in this world. So you're telling me that all it takes is for you to make over $167,000 a year, and suddenly you will have 3,420,000,000 women chasing after you? That is an asinine statistic. See, these men, they don't understand the intelligence level of women because you're talking to a former accountant here. So all you have to do is look at simple numbers. No, 90% of women are not chasing 10% of men or the top 10% of men, because I don't think that if you are a doctor, then you can suddenly have an opportunity to sleep with over 3 billion women, or that 3 billion women will be chasing you if all you do is become a doctor, or if all you do is be over 6 feet 2. That we wouldn't hear so many guys complaining. A lot of these guys that make these red pill podcasts and stuff like that, those guys make under over 160,000. But we don't see them saying that they have billions of women chasing after them. So these numbers that they're making up, first of all, are asinine. Secondly, they're never specific in their description of what a top 10% man is, what a top 20% man is. Does this mean you are taller than 90% of men? You're the top 10% as far as height. You're the top 10% as far as income. You're the top 10% as far as morals. And also, how is that being measured? Who are you comparing these men to? Because the last time I checked, your market value in the dating world is based off of demand. So if women want you, then that's how you know that you're wanted. And if no women are showing interest in you, then obviously it's because we are not interested. We don't want you. So no, I don't think that if you're in the top 10% income-wise, suddenly you will have billions of women chasing after you. That's an idiotic statement. So no, 90% of women are not chasing the top 10% of men, and also men failed to define the definition of top 10% of men or top 20% of men. They don't even define what it is. Notice how a lot of these men, they don't define the term high value either. When they say high value, what they really mean is high earning. So let's say you earn above $100,000 a year. Well, for most women, we're not willing to go through the mental, emotional, and psychological torment that is required to stay with a man because he simply makes $100,000. I mean, to be honest, there are girls on OnlyFans that make more than $167,000. So now what? I think that that's actually the problem that these men have. They're upset because they no longer can dangle their income in front of you like a carrot. They no longer can dangle marriage in front of you like a carrot, because we all know that a lot of women back in the 50s and stuff were getting married because you couldn't even open a bank account without having a man attached to you. You couldn't even purchase land without having a man attached to you. So a lot of women were getting married out of necessity and out of needing financial stability. But ever since women have had more access to having their own financial stability, since it's become easier than ever, and coupled with the way that a lot of these men are treating us women, because I am convinced that most men are actually incels and that most men actually do not interact with women in real life. And so, therefore, they tend to just stereotype us based on pornography and Hollywood. So, if a guy is going to automatically assume that you're either a whore or some sort of sexual object or some sort of stuck up woman who thinks that you're just some superstar, well, most of us women don't have the time or energy to deal with that. But no, I do not think that 90% of women are chasing after the top 10% of men, whether that's 10% income, 10% as far as height, the top 10% tallest men. Being tall doesn't automatically mean that women are just going to throw themselves at you. And this is a part of why I also believe that a lot of men are actually jealous of women. I think a lot of men are jealous of the fact that women can do a lot to improve ourselves, whether it's financially, whether it's in terms of our physical appearance, whether it's in terms of social status, whereas men, they often have to compete with other men in order to, get our attention and things like that. But have you ever noticed how the men who can't compete in society, like they failed at life, they failed at being a man in the real world, and they're no one in society, and suddenly they try to find someone to control. They want to find someone that they can be domineering over. And so they automatically assume that women are supposed to be that. I've actually noticed that the church is a place where a lot of men who have failed at life kind of flock to, because in the church you've got a lot of brainwashed women who are taught to submit to men and stuff like that. So for a lot of men who feel like they didn't make it in the real world, they flock to the church or they flock to these religious spaces hoping to find a brainwashed woman who will submit to them. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comments section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.